Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1, Episode 10, the season finale, the dark one, and also the Season 1 rundown review. So, this is a pretty good show. Like, I really enjoy it. It has nice action, characters, comedy, and especially horror and gore, and they don't shy on blood like most series. Because I guess it's on like a cable network, the Stars. And so, like, however, the first season, a lot of fans don't particularly like the first season. They say it felt a little like slow paced and stuff, and I totally agree. I remember when I first watched this years ago, I was like, I like it, but it just seems kind of blah at times because there's a couple of filler episodes that just seem kind of pointless, and it takes a good while for like the real good stuff to kick in. Like, the first episode is really good, the second's pretty good. Somewhere in between the middle it gets a little boring, but then it starts picking back up towards the end. Because, those filler episodes, they just kind of like drag and stuff like that. I still think probably the best season of them all is probably the third one, maybe. I gotta remember. I remember I do like the third a lot. And I do like the second. Although the second was kind of weird at times, especially when they introduced this one character, the daughter of Linda. And then all of a sudden, her daughter just like dies off screen. And it's just kind of like, huh? Also, the villain was supposed to be like, oh, my bad for coughing. The villain was supposed to be like really big and bad, but he didn't seem all that like threatening and stuff. And so anyway, this season, I already reviewed the first episode like yesterday. So pretty much what happens in this entire season is that Ash and his new friends are trying to stop the evil. So now they go into like this bookstore, talk to this one guy about how to like put everything back to normal and stuff, because he accidentally read from a book when he was high. At some point in time, Pablo gives him electronic mechanical arm, robotic, well, not arm, but a hand, like a robotic type hand that Pablo made himself. So I guess Pablo can do that now. I don't know, that was just kind of far-fetched for me. They don't really explain it, plus you don't ever see him do anything technical, mechanical like that afterwards, because his character completely develops into something completely different. And so, like, Kelly, she's all on revenge because her parents are now, well, her mom died and then later turned into a deadite, and the dad died, and so now she's seeking revenge. And it takes her a good while to be that warrior person that we all know and love, but she does start to be it more towards the end of this season. Amanda the cop, she has an interesting turn in this. Like, she witnessed her partner dying. She sees all this demonic stuff. The cops all like, you made this up. So she starts to believe she made it up until she went back to the house and realized she didn't. Then she meets Ruby, and Ruby has the hand of Ash and talking about how Ash is like so evil and all this other stuff, and she has to stop him and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, Amanda starts to believe her when all these killings start happening around the trailer park that Ash like lived in. So she assumed Ash is doing all these killings and all this other stuff, but she saw that demons are real. So I don't get that. And so, like, her and Ruby do this road trip, and then so now next thing you know, she's trying to look for Ash. When she finds him, she's trying to like capture him and all that stuff, but then they see a bunch of like demons. He helps rescue her. She's kind of like turned on by that, and then she realized he's not the bad person that Ruby made him out to see. Plus, Ruby ended up getting like completely burnt to like a cinder, and I think she assumed Ash did that or something. That was kind of wonky. Like, I didn't really understand all that like character development with her. But later on, she does like befriend Ash, and she has a crush, and he crushes on her and stuff like that. When she partners with him and his team, Ash went to like a shaman, Pablo's uncle, and Ash has some type of high trip talking about how you have to bury the book back in the cabin and all that stuff. So it's going back to where it all began, the cabin in the woods. Now this is a completely different cabin because this is filmed now in New Zealand. So they had to redress it to make it look like the old one. They did a pretty good job, but it does seem a little different. Also, the woods in New Zealand are completely different from the woods in like America. You can totally tell it's a different country. So they're there. Ash wants to do the loner thing. He doesn't want nobody to get hurt. They follow him. Amanda ends up finding him, and she ends up meeting a clone version of Ash from his old decapitated demonic hand that like grew another body. He kills her. Ash is heartbroken. He fights his double, and then like his friends end up killing the double. Ruby shows up with a book. Oh, before that, they met some people in the woods camping. You know, hiking. You know, it's funny. It was just like these random Australian people hiking in the woods in America. There's no context behind it. It's just like random. Sure, anybody can go whatever country they want to and hike wherever they want to, but it was just kind of weird that they're from like another country and like, you know, they were just hiking in the American woods and stuff. And so the deadite of Amanda comes and kills the hikers except for one. She breaks her leg. They take her back to the cabin, and then Ruby saves them, and then she ends up telling them she's gonna help, you know, get rid of the book, blah blah blah, stuff like that. She's totally tricking them. She cuts the old face off the old book, and then it goes to Pablo's face, and it's possessing him. And then Ruby reveals that she's the one who wrote that book because she's a dark one. And now you're all caught up for the finale. I have to say, I was really disappointed when I saw that Amanda had died. I was really hoping she would stay because she seemed to be like a pretty cool character and everything. She was headstrong. She was determined. She became an ally of the new gang and everything. And it just really sucks that she had to go. And the actress, I forget her name, Maria something. And might be Hill at the end, I'm not sure, but she was on Girlfriends, and like, you know, it just sucks. Plus she would have balanced out the cast and people of color, because you had like one white dude, you have one Jewish lady, you have one Mexican guy, and then you would have had one black lady, and then one white New Zealand lady. So that would have been a nice balance and everything. So it kind of sucks they got rid of her. And it's kind of weird they got rid of the two black people in the second season as well. Anyway. So like, she's now gone and she's a deadite and stuff, and so she's out in the woods somewhere. Ruby, yeah, it's cool to see Lucy back. It's funny that Lucy is in this show because like years ago when she saw the original first like Evil Dead movie, she thought it was the most disgusting thing she ever saw. She thought the people who made it are like idiots and everything, and she just didn't like the whole tree sexual assault thing. She was just like, what kind of idiots would make this type of thing, and they're so revolting and stuff like that. But then she ended up marrying one of the executive producers who made that movie, because he created Xena, and then she ended up befriending like Sam Raimi and like Bruce Campbell and Ted Raimi. So it's just funny how she turned like 20 years later and like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm cool with it. And now I'm in the show. A show in the movie that she originally hated. The finale is extremely good. It feels like that of a horror movie. It was not directed by Sam Raimi, but Rick Jacobson. And he did an extremely good job of making this feel like a horror movie in the finale. Because towards the middle of this season, it really didn't really feel all that much like that. But yeah, they're still in the cabin. Ruby has revealed herself. And so Pablo also has the book on his face. And so Kelly is desperately trying to like rip the mask off his face, but it won't come off. Like it is stuck. And so Ruby is, you know, and then and Ash, they get into it, but then Amanda the Deadite comes in, and it's like a huge battle and stuff. And so Ruby takes Pablo down below in the cellar, and Ash and Amanda just like getting it on, just like fighting. And it's a huge struggle. But then he gets the upper hand and he saws her in the belly, and there's blood gushing everywhere. The hiking girl, whose name I don't even remember, she's just hollering and screaming, and she's so confused as to what's going on. The actress who plays her is pretty cool. I saw her in a show called, okay, originally when this show came out, I thought it was called MILF. Like MILF. But then now I see it's called SIF with the S at the beginning of the M. And it lasted for like 2 or 3 seasons because the lead of the show, who created the show, did something really stupid in the Me Too moment. And so she got canceled for a while, but then the show got canceled. And it sucks because it was a pretty cool show. And it's kind of like, dude, she went from being just a stand-up comedian, a comedian who guest stars in the show, and she finally made it. The creator named Frankie. And it's like, she made it only for her to screw up majorly and have it all taken away. So now she's back to like guest starring on stuff. Like, how dumb can you be, man? Anyway, the blonde actress, the hiker girl, she's Australian. I forget her name. It's either Samantha Weaving or it's Samara Weaving or something like that. I can't remember. But she's great in this episode. And she's really good at screaming, which they really needed her because the Kelly actress, when she screams, it doesn't sound like horror movie screams because of like how sultry her voice is. But the blonde hiking lady, like she's perfect for like blood curdling like screams, you know. And so Ash is all like, I have to go down there, get Pablo, all this and that. The hiking girl does not want to go down there. So he's like, okay, whatever. He'll go down there, and Kelly, you want her to stay up here and protect her, stuff like that. He's about to go down there, but he's hesitant because he remember what happened the last time he went down there. And then, so, like, next thing you know, like, the cool thing with the Evil Dead is, like, the whole camera movement in the woods and the wind, and it busts the door open, and it sends Ash flying down the cellar, and it closes the door shut tight. So he's warping back into like the past or something like that, like in a dreamlike state, and he's there when he's about to read from the book. Ruby shows up, and she talks about how, like, you know, you're tired, you need to stop doing this, just let me like rule the world and everything, and I'll give you what you want. I'll give you Jacksonville, which is all he wants. He wants to go to Jacksonville, Florida, and just live it up. Why? Who knows? Like, I've been to Jacksonville. It's not that nice. And so, like, she's just constantly offering him, trying to persuade him, and he's just like, yeah, you know what? Shove it and stuff like that. And like, he's not gonna take that deal. He's not gonna doom the world just for his own selfish needs. And then so she warps him back into reality. He's creeping around down in the cellar, and he sees some strange thing running around. So he follows it, and then he down below, he's looking through like a door, and there's Ruby and there's Pablo. Pablo has the mask on his face, but now he's throwing up these giant like slug-like larvae and everything. It's gross. It is disgusting. The larvae bust out, and it's like these little children, demonic children, completely naked, bald heads, demonic-looking faces, black eyes, grayish, ooey skin. Like, the prosthetics on this and the makeup was amazing. So basically, these are what known as Ruby's kids. It's what she always wanted, these demonic kids. And she's making tons of them. And so Ash is just kind of like, crap. And stuff. So up above, you have Hiking Girl and Kelly. And they're desperately trying to get down in the cellar. And Hiking Girls are like, you know, I don't even want to be here. Let's just run and stuff like that. And Kelly's like, we can't. But then this is when all the freaky cabin in the woods, demonic stuff starts happening. And like, it wants to separate those two. And it like flings Kelly outside, and it keeps the Hiking Girl inside. The Hiking Girl is like, no, first what happened is Kelly starts shooting at the cellar door, and blood is coming from it. And the Hiking Girl just kind of like, why is there blood coming from the thing? And Kelly's like, the house is just screwing with us. Because, you know, it always constantly bleeds and stuff. So then it like separates those two. Kelly is outside. She's trying to get in the house. She no longer has her like weapon. The Hiking Girl is inside the house, and it toys with her. It's constantly scaring the piss out of her. It's like making like nails fly out the wall, slashing her in the face. She's stepping on nails. She's constantly being slashed back and forth, and she still has that broken leg. And so she's hollering and she's screaming, and there's blood all on her face and stuff. And I remember there was some point at time blood pours from something. I think it pours from the front door, and it's like No, that's what I remember. Like Kelly is trying to get to her in the window, and then the house just sucks her back in, and it's like this weird like corridor area that's all red, and it just like sucks her in. Next thing you know, there's blood everywhere coming from underneath the door. Then the door busts open, and then it sprays Kelly with tons of blood and stuff. Like it's just throwing up blood like all in her face. Kelly's at this point where it's starting to rain outside, and she's had enough. So she thinks, okay, maybe if I set the cabin on fire, maybe it'll like kill all the like the demonic stuff. So she gets like lighter fluid and like gasoline. She just sets the entire cabin on fire, and she's happy and she's thrilled with herself, jumping up and down because she thinks she did something like awesome and everything, you know. And so like Ash is down below, and he starts to fight like Ruby and stuff, but then she sicks Pablo on him because she has possession of him. And so Pablo, he has no control of his body. He tells Ash that, but Ash is doing his best not to hurt Pablo. So then, like the demon kids are all around, and one of them tries to fight Ash, and so he basically just puts it in his like he's struggling, he's fighting, and these things are fast, right? So then he puts like his shotgun in like the demonic kid's mouth and just blows it up. It's just like a glorious sight to see and everything. Some of the kids escape from like the outside, and then Kelly has to like tackle with them. It's just a huge battle back and forth, and they're trying their best to stop like these demonic kids. And so what is it? I think Ruby has the oh, this is gonna be hard to say. Kandarian dagger, that's how you say it. And she's trying to like kill Ash and everything. Somehow he gets to the point where he just like tells her straight up, fine, whatever, you know, you win and everything. Just let's make that deal. And so Kelly and all them, they're down below. Somehow they got the mask off Pablo's face. Somehow. I forget how. And then Ash is all like, I'll take your deal and everything. I'll go to Jacksonville. You do whatever you want to the world. I don't care no more. And then like, but Pablo and Kelly have to be safe with me. And Ruby's just kind of like, all right. Then they shake on it. And boom. Next thing you know, I couldn't believe he did that. First I thought he was tricking her. But no, he actually just became selfish because he's old now. He's tired. He's tired. He's been fighting demons for like a couple of years, and then 30 years he's been living like a crappy life, and he's just sick and tired of everything. And you know, in some ways you can kind of relate to him if you've been doing this for a long time, but at other times it's kind of like, dude, you just screwed the entire world. And that's how Kelly and Pablo feel like they're in the back of the Delta, just looking at him with like disgusting, sickening faces on their on looks on their faces because they couldn't believe he doomed the world. And he's just happy and listen to the radio, then turn off and listen to music, and he's driving to Jacksonville. And as soon as you see the car pan away where they was driving, a huge hole just sunk in the ground, and yeah, he doomed the world. Everything. It's a great finale. It feels such much like a horror movie. It's so great. You know, and the great thing because it's on cable TV, they don't shy away from like the blood like most of these like network TV shows do. Like even sci-fi, like the Chucky series that's there, there's barely any blood and stuff. And I'm just like, you know, this is supposed to be like a horror type thing. And even on Amazon, that's weird. Like with the whole I Know What You Did Last Summer thing, there's barely any blood. And it's just, sometimes you have to go to some certain networks that will like allow it. Like the Slasher show. That's what makes it so great. It feels like a horror movie. Now wasn't that spooky? Alright, well I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.